Barrett Jones, I hope the summer is treating you well. Welcome back in the game in T-Town.
What's up, Ryan? How we doing, man?
I'm good. Just surviving the off-season. You
can't survive, Ryan. You got to thrive, man. You can't get complacent.
That's right.
You're
right.
There's a lot of complacency in that surviving talk.
Okay. So is that if Scott Cochran is yelling at you during this time of the year, is it surviving? Is it not? Is it just getting better?
Absolutely. If you're surviving, you're not the kind of guy we want in the program, Ryan. Come on, man. You know that.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you, as we're 73 days away, a couple of days ago, I said on the program we were a Barrett Jones away from Alabama football, but now we're a John Hanna away from Alabama football. 73 days away. What's going through the player's mind as we get to this point right now, and you're thinking about the upcoming season? Summer sessions enrolled, players are here on campus. What's going through the mind of a player?
Well, the players, I think, really enjoy the summer. The summer's a fun time. It's a time where everything's going a little bit slower. Obviously, most guys just have one class they're taking per month. And so it's kind of a time where you can spend a little more time in the film room, have time to kind of diagnose things. But I think a lot of guys really enjoy the summer conditioning stuff. It's a time where you can kind of compete in running, and Coach Cochran always does a good job of making it fun for the guys and making it competitive. And I think most guys are just thinking about improving, and there's a lot of 7-on-7 drills going on right now voluntarily, and all kind of stuff like that. But just guys are excited about the season. Everybody's hopes are high. Your body feels pretty good. We always say, this is as good as your body's going to feel all year the day before you start fall camp. So I think guys are feeling good right now, probably ready to go, recharged and ready to rock.
Barrett, is this the time of the year that leadership is formed?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a huge time. I think that kind of starts, in fourth quarter and then moves on through spring practice. But then, this definitely is kind of a continued time where the leaders sort of emerge. And, leadership is tough because to be a leader, you have to be willing to work harder than the average man. And if you're going to kind of put yourself on that pedestal and call yourself a leader, then everyone's going to be watching you in these summer running, these summer programs. And, if you take a play off, and that's going to obviously negatively affect the guys around you. So you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. And, I remember thinking as a leader, I could never not make my times on one of these things because not only would it affect me adversely, but it would affect the guys around me. And so certainly, it's kind of where you have to prove being a leader. It's easy to kind of say you're a leader, but then you sort of have to go out there and execute it.
Barrett, a couple of days ago, and it's not because by no means, nobody's questioning leadership. It's just when you leave so many guys like Reuben Foster, Jonathan Allen, O.J. Howard, Cam Robinson, Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, that's a lot of quality leaders on your team. And we were looking at this year's team, and we're going, okay, who's going to step up? Earlier this week, we were reading a quote from Micah Fitzpatrick saying that he had to choose some guys out in the offseason conditioning. You like to see quotes like that because you could see that Micah is stepping into one of those leadership roles.
Well, absolutely. I think every year brings new leaders, and that's something that kind of the culture of Alabama football has done a fantastic job of cultivating, is kind of this next man up mentality of, who's going to be the next leader. And so I'm excited. I think it's much too early, obviously, to tell how this kind of group of leaders will do, but I do think we have some guys in key places like Micah Fitzpatrick, Bradley Bozeman on the offensive line. I think there's some guys around who are going to be great leaders for us this season. And, I'm frankly excited about this kind of group of leaders, but there definitely comes a time when you have to hold players accountable. That's not always the fun part of leadership, when you have to kind of take a guy aside and chew him out or call him out in front of the team, or hopefully, before you do that, you've kind of talked to him one-on-one first and kind of let him know sort of what's expected of him. And so, that's a tough part of leadership. It's awkward and it doesn't always feel good, but, sometimes you have to become a little bit uncomfortable if you want to really be a leader.
Barrett Jones, right now, two-time All-American at the University of Alabama, visiting with us on our championship countdown. When I say the 2011 Alabama football team, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Probably the first thing that comes to mind would be the best defense I've ever seen. I would say that 2011 defense was awesome, and I know that a lot of people think the defense last year might have been better, and obviously I wasn't around that defense as much, so hard for me to say. But just as far as what football was in 2011, which, believe it or not, it has changed a whole lot in these past few years with all the sub packages and stuff like that. I would say that was one of the best. That was the best college defense I ever saw in person. Was that 2011 defense? They were really talented. Didn't really have any weaknesses, and I think, can't remember how many points per game they allowed, but it was astonishingly low. I think the most points they allowed all year was to Georgia Southern, I think, if that's correct. And so they were a fantastic defense, and we had a pretty solid offense to go along with it. It was probably the best team I played for, I think. Just matching it up against all the other teams, I think the 2011 team, top to bottom, was probably the most complete team.
Well, actually, Nick Saban referred to that points per game just the other day. He said, back in 2011, we had a great defense, 8.2 points per game. When you look at now, he said, like the best defense in college football. He was off a little bit on the numbers-wise, but he's close enough. Right now, the best defense was Alabama last year, and they gave up 13 points. And then you go back to the year prior, it was Alabama almost give up like 16 points per game. So the game of college football has changed. When you look at it, what do you think is the biggest change? Is it rules that are allowing these offenses to score the points? Help me out. What has been the big change that you see?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. Obviously, rules plays a part of it. I think mathematically, a huge change is just the number of plays that teams are running. You got to think when teams run more plays, they're going to score more points, and that's why you see so many people going up tempo. And I think that's why a lot of defenses have gone away from just points per game and have kind of focused more on a per play basis of yards per play and that kind of thing, because it's hard to measure. The defenses now that are, oftentimes facing 90, 100 plays versus the defense of, even 6-7 years ago, they were probably facing 60 or 70. So, that's a huge difference mathematically in the number of plays run and the number of points scored. But, I think there's a lot of differences. Just the style of offense, obviously, there's far less ball control now. It's much more of a focus on, big chunk plays. And, you've seen some offenses have success with that. And, I think, college football is obviously changing, much more spread and sub packages and, skill players on the field. And it's just a lot different than it used to be. And I think that one more last point is just that teams are running the ball less overall. And so, that just kind of creates more clock stoppages and time possession.
Barrett, when we go back, and this is it's a negative because we lost so many lives here in Tuscaloosa, but somehow we've made it a positive. We've rebuilt the town. When you drive through Tuscaloosa, being that this is my home, I'm proud of the rebound after April the 27th of 2011. I mean, our town looks totally different. And if you would have told me, 5, 6, 7 years later that we would be to this level, I would have said, man, you're crazy. Because first time I saw the devastation, I was just like, man, crazy. But I'm just curious how much that April 27th day, when you tie that to 2011, did that serve as an inspiration? Because you guys were an outlet for most people that were rebuilding their lives here in Tuscaloosa.
It absolutely was a special season, Ryan. That was obviously a day that I think anyone who was there will never forget. Just the aftermath of that day, and also the positives of just the way the town came together and responded to that adversity. And it was a different feeling that first week in the stadium when kind of the whole city felt like it was gathered together there, and it really was special. And it's hard to really explain to people who weren't there, but it was very a unique feeling that whole season, just kind of that we were playing for something a little bit more than just kind of Alabama football. And so, it was a fun season, and I think it definitely inspired us and helped us. But I think we were obviously going to have a great team that was inspired anyway. But it definitely just kind of gave us a little something extra in our mindset. Kind of, I think, put things in perspective for us of kind of why we were really doing this and sort of what our purpose was for playing football and for excelling.
Just being that you're a former offensive lineman, and I know this is incorrect verbiage to use, but we call you guys the big nasties up front. Looking that
I'm glad you didn't say big uglies, Ryan.
No,
big nasties
big nasties. I mean, listen, I appreciate you. You've been on this program. I appreciate offensive line play. When you see the elimination of two-a-days, do you celebrate, or are you disappointed that these players are not able to go through two-a-days now? They've eliminated two-a-days from football.
No, I celebrate. I hated two-a-days, and to be honest, I think that they were outdated, and it was time for them to go. And there's some coaches that would disagree with me, and that might surprise you. You would maybe expect me to be more of an old-school hardliner. But I just think that you can get plenty done now in a 3-hour practice. And, 2 days, obviously, there's some kind of mental toughness aspect. But I can assure you that those one-a-days are very, very tough days, and there's nothing really easy about it. And so I just think the way the efficiency works now with the number of periods in practice, the way it's organized, the number of coaches on the field, the amount of plays we get in a 3-hour practice is pretty amazing. And so I think one practice per day is plenty, personally. Now, if you talk about extending camp, I'm sure that's really what coaches would prefer to do, would be to start camp a little bit earlier, which would maybe, could make some sense. But I like it the way it is. I think that the 2-a-days, having no 2 days, it works fine in the NFL and it'll work fine in college.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when we talked with Nick Saban last, he said at that point he's not made a decision. They do have the option, I think, of coming in 5 days early, but then he said he was afraid, and you might even see Nick Saban pat himself on the back here a little bit. He said, well, if you play here, we generally play until the middle of January. I thought that was a little comment there. I was like, yeah, there you go, Nick Saban. Good stuff. But, think about it. He's stretching it out from July until January is what he was talking about. So he has not made a decision. At least he's not made that publicly. I'm sure he's already made the decision. But they do have the option of coming in, I think it's 5 days earlier than what they typically start camp. Barrett, I want to go to Jonah Williams here for a couple of minutes because you flipped from guard to tackle to center. When you look at Jonah Williams from right tackle to left tackle, how big of a transition do you think that will be?
I don't think it'll be any problem for a guy of Jonah Williams' caliber. He's an excellent player, obviously. Probably one of the best freshman offensive linemen I've ever really seen. Reminds me a little bit of Andre Smith his freshman year, but just his wherewithal and his knowledge of the game, his understanding, his work ethic. You talk to anybody around the program, the guys are very impressed with the way Jonah Williams approaches the game, and just feel like his ceiling is through the roof. And so I don't think he'll have any problem. I think when you talk about changing positions, first of all, he still has the same verbiage, and he's playing essentially the same position, just on the opposite side. The biggest difference is just footwork, and he has a whole offseason to get that footwork down. And like I said, this guy's a tremendous athlete, so I don't foresee him having any problems with it.
Barrett, you think about this offensive unit this year. It may be the turn. I know defense is not going to slide much. It won't slide as long as Nick Saban is in Tuscaloosa. But you think about this offensive side of the football, 6 backs, all the quality at wide receiver. You got quarterbacks, offensive line should be a little stronger in maybe some areas, some experience. This offense has a chance to be very explosive in T-Town.
They really do, and I see this team kind of a little bit similar to the 2012 team, sort of a little bit more of an offensive-minded team, particularly early in the season. I think there's a lot of guys on defense that are going to sort of need some reps and are going to have to kind of grow up. And I think we'll have some games we're going to have to score more points than the other team, which I know is an unfamiliar feeling for Alabama fans. So I'm excited about the offense. I think Brian Dable, everything I've heard about him is fantastic. Just the way he's approached, the way he coaches. He's really a teacher of the game, and I think talking to guys, that's exactly what Jalen needed, just kind of a guy who's going to come in and sort of teach him the finer points. I mean, keep in mind, Jalen is, to my knowledge, still 18 years old. So, I think excited to see where he can go, kind of on his tutelage. You see their body language and relationship on the sideline, even in like something as insignificant as A-Day. It looks really good, and I'm very excited. Like you said, a lot of depth at receiver and all across the board, a lot of talent. Tight end maybe if there's a question mark, but overall, it's. I hope you get the offensive line issues maybe sorted out, kind of get 5 we can go with, but have a lot of talented guys up there. So expect big things from this offense. It could easily be the most productive offense we've ever had at Alabama.
All right, Barrett, we're going to make you part of the conversation, and you can bypass this, you can skip, we can end the conversation. But we're doing a show today. Is Alabama fans arrogant or confident? What do you think?
Well, it depends on which Alabama fans we're talking about.
Oh, look at you! Look at you spinning it around on me. I got you. In general,
I would say, I mean, obviously, if we're being honest and we're being self-reflective, we're a little bit arrogant. But I think, that's not all bad. Sometimes it's kind of fun. So I don't know. We're definitely confident. I hope that we're confident, and I strive for confidence over arrogance. But I think that if every Alabama fan looks themselves in the mirror, they probably have a little bit of arrogance in there somewhere.
Here,
would you agree with that?
No. Listen. Let me just read off this. You want to know why they hate us? You want to know why they hate Alabama fans, players, Nick Saban? Saban's record at Alabama versus SEC permanent opponents. They're 10-0 against UT. They're 10-0 against Arkansas. They're 9-1 against Mississippi State. They're 8-3 against LSU. They're 8-2 against Ole Miss. 7-3 against Auburn, and 4-1 against Texas A&M. 10 years.
Pretty strong.
Hard to beat.
That's right. That's. I mean, they're definitely. Sometimes you do run into some Alabama fans who maybe take it a little too far. But overall, it's fun, and nothing lasts forever. We got to remind ourselves that. And even at Alabama, there will come a day where we'll not have this, and so we got to enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah, but now you got to remember, since the last time we talked, Nick Saban came out the other day, and I know he said this before, but he said it again. He got a big pay raise, and he said, "I'm not close to being done." So
I'm not saying in the next 2 or 3 years. I'm just saying at some point. I mean, Nick Saban is, to my knowledge, not eternal. So
I hear you.
So I think there will be a time where we're going to have to figure it all out. So I'm just saying. My point is, we got to enjoy it while it's here.
Oh, and trust me, we are in Tuscaloosa. We're aggravating these Auburn fans. 3 in a row, 5 out of the last 6, 7 out of the last 9. They got 2 miracle plays.
They enjoyed it while they had it too. Don't forget.
You really better believe it.
So it's. I think they understand it's their time to enjoy it, and but they will definitely. If we ever fall, they'll be hitting us hard. But that's okay. That's the way it works.
Right. But it's talking season, as Steve Spurrier would say, and we're just reminding the SEC how good we are in Tuscaloosa. So showing our arrogance. Hey, Barrett,
Ryan, you're always a good one to do that. I know.
Oh, listen, man, I'm having too much fun this summer, man. I'm having way too much. Hey, listen, man, I got to lift the spirits of Alabama fans. We lost a championship, man. It's been a long 200 days here in T-Town, or 170. It's been a little crazy, and so I gotta fire up the rally, man. That's what I'm doing.
I hear you. Well, it'll be another fun year, and it's a fresh start, and it's the great thing about college football. You got quarter of your team's new, and it's always gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm excited.